Hello and welcome to Advanced Podcast. Today we're here with Miss Karina, one of our most experienced Ielts instructors at Advanced. She scored 8.5 on the Ielts exam, which is an incredible result, almost a perfect 9. We'll talk about her journey, her teaching experience, and her tips for everyone who wants to reach a high score. Advanced Podcast. From English lessons to life-changing success. Miss Karina, could you please tell us a little about your journey in English?
I can say that my journey was quite intermittent. I started studying English when I was about 10, and I quit for a while, and then I again picked it up, and the same thing happened till I was about 16 or 17 when I got my first IELTS. And this was the moment when I realized my love for English language and realized my true potential and my own capabilities.
Thank you, Miss Karina. And when did you decide to take the IELTS test and what motivated you to aim for such a high score?
The idea hit me back in 2024 when I was given IELTS groups and I started to work as an IELTS instructor. I realized that 7.5 for an IELTS instructor wasn't really enough for me, and I decided to retake to show a better role model for students and at the same time to motivate them to become better day by day.
So, Miss Karina, you got 8.5, which is an amazing result. But which part of the test was the most challenging for you?
I wouldn't say that it's a section that I found very difficult, but rather time management problem, because when I had my writing topics, I just immersed into task to topic because it was really interesting and I had a lot of ideas. And I spent around 53 minutes on writing task 2. I wrote about 500 words and I barely managed to finish task 1. I had around 6 or 7 minutes left. And therefore, when getting my breakdown, I got to see 8.5 for task 2 and 6 for task 1. So such a discrepancy just because of time problems.
Oh, so sorry about that. Well, it means that your score could be even 8.5, like even 9 from writing,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Okay. Anyways, Miss Karina, what emotions did you have when you first got your result?
I went to start with a point what I expected actually from the test. And the day that I took the test, it was 10th October. I got home and I actually was thinking about it all day. I expected to be downgraded a bit in terms of speaking and writing, although I knew that I did my best here. And not to set my expectations too high, I actually expected something around 8, but I thought I did my best. And saying 8.5 for the first time, I was extremely excited in the first place, but then this excitement turned into, I would say, a little regret and disappointment, because looking at sections, I got to realize that it was just a small step before getting 9, and I felt a little kind of disappointed with myself. However, then again, I was happy because 8.5 was actually C2, and I was very happy that I reached the level of native speakers.
And Miss Karina, do you plan to retake the test to reach a perfect 9?
Well, not gonna lie, I am planning to, because I feel as if this milestone isn't over yet. And I think that once I get 9, so I will reach a peak of one mountain and it's gonna be time for me to scale another one.
Miss Karina, thank you very much for sharing your exam experience with us. That was very interesting to know, and I'm sure that our students would like to know that as well. Now let's talk a little about your teaching experience and your job in general. So, first of all, you have been teaching IELTS for quite a while. And what do you think makes Advanced different from others?
Well, there are several things, and first is atmosphere. Atmosphere is actually very different here, since we're trying to create this English environment for students by organizing different clubs, speaking clubs every week, in different events. For example, in October, we had a fantastic Halloween party. So trying to instill love for English language to our students. And secondly, I think that the staff itself, so my co-workers are very friendly, obliging, so I know that I can approach them anytime and they will be there for me anytime that I need help.
Cool, Miss Karina. I'm sure that all the other coworkers, they're gonna say the same about you because you're also very friendly and
Thank you.
kind all the time, ready to help. How do you help your students reach high scores on IELTS?
Well, interestingly, apart from teaching them the format, different tips for solving reading, listening, writing, and so on, I'm also trying to instill love for English language itself, the same love as I have for it. I'm trying to invoke the desire, the thirst for knowledge so that they want to listen to podcasts more, they want to watch movies in English more, they want to read more books in English because this is what actually helps us to master the language, because this is the atmosphere that matters, not just the set of different structures that we learn and the words, but the immersion in English language itself.
Well, I totally agree with you on this point. And one more interesting thing, what is your teaching philosophy?
For me, teaching isn't just about imparting knowledge to students, but also about building stronger bonds with my students, trying to create a sense of cohesion, invoking their trust, because it's very important that students trust the teacher and they can approach the teacher anytime they face any trouble, any challenge, because this way we can make the process actually not just about the learning itself, but also about enjoying the process.
Miss Karina, that's great philosophy, I think. And one more interesting question, like what motivates you to teach?
Well, I guess it's definitely about being there for them in their own English language journey. When I can help them to overcome different problems, challenges that appear on their way. And of course, it's about seeing their happy faces at the end when they receive their results and when one more milestone is over for them.
What do you focus on most during your classes?
Whether it comes to reading, writing, speaking, no matter what section, I'm always trying to focus on the critical thinking of students and to develop that ability, because thinking is actually not something that you can acquire or develop in a lesson or two. So we can teach them definitely the format of writing task 1, task 2, just in a couple of lessons. We can teach them how to solve headings, how to solve multiple choice, but thinking isn't about this one. So it takes a very long time to develop that ability, and it's done in a very complex way because a person needs to be able to see, to analyze, to question, and it's actually very tough to do that. So I'm trying to foster that ability since the day that I kind of have my students for the first time. And I guess that it's going pretty well because now I see my students growing and transforming into more mature individuals.
Cool. And by the way, you just moved to the next question with your answer, which is great. What kind of progress have you seen from your students at Advance?
Well, as I said before, this is about seeing my students grow mentally, grow emotionally, or when they become more mature, when they are able to hold debates with each other, to win an argument, and to think out of the box. So they're different from who they were in the first place.
So, and again, talking about the students, is there a success story that really made you proud as a teacher?
Well, I can say that it's very difficult to choose one because in my whole teaching experience, I have helped many students to succeed to achieve their goals. Well, however, what really stands out is, of course, the last year case when one of my students got 8.5. This was just a sensation in our city because at that time she was 16-year-old and it was 8.5 from the first time, so she didn't really take any IELTS before that. And for me, it meant a lot because it showed that actually I have quite, I would say, a knack for teaching, because back then I myself had 7.5 in IELTS, and this is actually so exciting when a student outperforms the teacher, so which shows both determination of the teacher and the student, of course. So yeah, this was I guess the most successful story in my experience.
And Miss Karina, let's talk about tips and information that would help our viewers to improve their IELTS score. How long does it take to move from band 6 to band 7?
Well, it's hard to say because it all depends on how consistent a person is. It all depends on what kind of schedule a person is using. But on average, if a person is quite consistent and just delves very deep in the process, I believe that 2 months or 2 to 3 months will be quite enough for reaching C1.
Are there any common mistakes that most students make that you would like to mention so that, people who just start their IELTS preparation, they can just, foresee this and maybe fix it on the way?
Well, I would say that two common mistakes are cramming and over-practicing. And the second may sound weird, but it's actually true. I mean, yes, practice makes perfect, but only when it's reasonable and when it's done effectively. Because when a student practices reading, for example, 4 times in a day, but without proofreading, without analyzing his own mistakes, well, this will not actually bring any benefits to him. However, when a person just sits and analyzes his mistakes, finding some patterns, like some traps, for example, in reading, listening, so he's just he's trying to analyze what he has done and not to repeat the same mistakes later. I guess this is what actually helps. And in terms of cramming the words and their definition never actually helps, because once we learn the meaning of the word, we may use it incorrectly in our speech or in writing, while, for example, knowing and seeing how the word is used in the context can actually help us to understand it better and to avoid such mistakes.
Miss Karina, you scored 8.5 in task 2, writing task 2, as you said, and you scored 8.5 in speaking, which are considered to be really high because it's C2. Most students, they struggle with these sections, like writing and speaking. So how can someone improve their speaking and writing effectively?
Well, regarding speaking, I can say that what's important is firstly to widen the horizon, to be able to think deeper, to deliver beautiful answers in part 3, because part 3 are usually general questions, and for that, vocabulary and grammar alone are not enough, so we have to be able to stand out in terms of our answers. And in task 2, actually the same. So we have to develop our creativity to be able to brainstorm faster, to find more arguments for task 2 topic. However, apart from this, we also have to be able to use vocabulary effectively. And for that, we don't need to just learn vocabulary words separately. We have to learn them in context. I guess that movies, books, and magazines can help here. And in terms of the grammar, I guess also inductive method works by reading a lot of books, especially scientific ones. By watching a lot of speaking samples, we can figure out some patterns and then use it ourselves.
Thank you very much. I'm sure that the students are going to use it and they will definitely improve their results with these tips. And there are a lot of students who have recently started their IELTS preparation, right? Or who are going to start their IELTS preparation. So what advice can you give them so that they start this easily and they can reach the score that you have?
Well, I guess that mind-wise will sound very simple, but it's what actually everyone needs. It's about never giving up, because on your way you will find a lot of challenges coming up and you have to be able to overcome them, because you will progress and then one point you will just experience a period of stagnation and your results will not be moving up. So you will be stuck at, for example, 6 or 5.5 and you will be about to just quit. But actually this is a point that tests your patience, how tenacious you are, whether you're able to be patient a little bit and to overcome this, or you're weak and you will just quit and give up. So as everyone says, the strongest one survive, and you have to be the strongest one here to win the battle.
Thank you, Karina, for sharing your story and all these great tips. It's always inspiring to see teachers who are ready to grow, who keep growing and help others achieve their goals.
Thank you. I'm always happy to see my students succeed, and if you're ready to work hard, we can help you reach your dream score here at Advance.